Everybody's arguing right now about what AI optimization is. It's the big hot topic, and I think it's a waste of brain power. I think the real question that I'm going to focus on instead is how do you even understand whether or not your agency really understands how to optimize in an AI world? And what clues should you be looking for to see if somebody's kind of snake oil or if they really know what they're doing? So my first recommendation is the more confidence they have in how to optimize for LLMs, the less you should trust them. I've been doing this for 20 something years of my life, and I'm telling you, I'm learning things every day, and I am surprised by answers on a regular basis. Look for people with a strong experimentation background, not a we know everything and here's our white paper background, but here are the experiments that we're running. All right, this image is a little bit old, but conceptually, it still carries weight, which is someone needs to understand the difference between training data and search data, because there is no optimizing for generative engines. Generative engines are either going to use training data to give an answer, or they're going to use search data to give an answer, or some combination of both. And each one of those has its own way of being optimized. So that's one of the first things you want to look out for. So if you're hitting the live web to get an answer, then what that means is you're going to have AIOs, you're going to have answers in ChatGPT that are going to trigger things out here that are clickable. So whatever provider you use to analyze your AIO visibility, make sure that you separate out what prompts drive answers with training data and which ones use a web index, because you're going to optimize for those differently. And your return on investment and your time frame to get that return are very different. What we know is we're pretty much living in a world where every MSV is about to be a sample size of one. So what do? Use our template. We have it. It's sitting out there for free. Grab it. It's a different world if I've got a domain extensions 101 guide and that got 2,000 visits, but only 7 visits from generative AI. But then I've got how AI overviews has 1,800 visits and has 393 visits from generative AI. These, my friends, are two completely different optimization strategies. And then you can look at the no bounce rate in GA4 thing, 1,700 visits from search, 4 from generative AI. So if I type in GA4 bounce rate, yay, SEER ranks right here, yay, great, good for us. The problem is that this answer is so well answered by the training data that there's no need to our page. Well, that is not going to get the traffic it used to get. Whereas my AI overview page also ranks highly. The LLMs are like, oh, you know what? Any prompts around AI overviews are recent enough that I probably also want to give people some web links. So now I'm more likely to get traffic from things that are more recent and changing, and less likely to get traffic from things that have been the same way for a long time. Are you taking your content and breaking that down like we've done here? Because once you've got all your organic search bucketed and all your generative AI engines bucketed by URL, you start to be able to create different strategies for your go-to-market. Now here at SEER, we tend to want to combine PPC and SEO data, and I'm going to tell you why. For many of our clients, a typical SEO firm will track 3,000 keywords. We typically see about, let's just say it's 250,000 unique search terms in the paid data. So I want more context. When your lead form is filled out, ask people what they typed in to find you. Just email them. We do that all the time too. But what happens for us is we're able to plot out every unigram for every client on a set of axes that tells us kind of what's the opportunity and what's the risk. And now let's switch over to training data. For me, training data is the long game. So it matters a lot in terms of what kind of organization you're in and what is your horizon for winning. If you got to win quarter after quarter and they're not the kind of company that makes long-term, multi-year investments, then answers that are in training data might be really hard for you to get over time. At SEER, there's a lot of things that we do here that we're betting on the long haul. Therefore, I'm the kind of CEO that has patience. So I'm thinking, what are the things I want to be known about? And what am I going to do over the next 2 to 3 years to make sure I'm more known about those things? That is not a quarter to quarter win, which will leave you more to only optimizing for the web index. I tend to like getting in the training data because it feels like much more of a moat for those kinds of prompts that don't trigger web searches. And the toolbox that you use to try to get into training data is way different. So I really want to show up more in certain industries. Therefore, I have increased the podcasts that I'm willing to go on that speak in that vertical. I go to more conferences and speak at conferences in that vertical. I need to build pages and pull out wins from my team in that vertical because over time, I want to put the content out there in multiple locations that are often cited by the LLM. So now I'm saying what publications are often cited in this industry? Great. And that's how I'm trying to get my name, my company name, over here in an industry that I want to show up for when people are looking for in LLMs for companies to help them in that industry. I want to bring those things closer by figuring out what are the publications that are most likely to be referenced when people are asking certain types of queries? And then of those publications, what are my networks and my connections that can get me into those pubs? I think what you call it is a completely different argument than how do I find the people that actually know what they're doing so I'm not paying them for 6 or 12 months to then find out the hard way.